Okay, today class we will be discussing the areas of circles. So please go ahead and pause if you need to and turn to 8.2 and have your pencil or pen ready. So we're on 8.2 today with areas of circles. Our essential question is, how do you find the area of a circle or semicircle? Well, to find the area of a circle, we're going to use this equation. Area is equal to pi times the radius squared. And the way we'll write it is A equals pi times r squared. So what you'll notice is that what we'll need to make sure we find for every circle before we even begin looking at the area is make sure we have the radius. And the radius of a circle is from the center out. So that's our radius. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. What we'll do is we will find, first we ask ourselves, do we have the radius? Well, I'm going from the center out, so I do have the radius. So I know my r is equal to 5. So I plug into my equation and I have area equals pi times r squared. So I'd say area is equal to pi times 5 squared. But what does the squared do? Well, the squared is not, I repeat, it is not 5 times 2. The squared tells me to multiply 5 by itself. So 5 times 5. So we really have area is equal to pi is 3.14 times 5 times 5. So we've turned pi into 3.14, and the 5 squared means I'm multiplying 5 by itself, 5 times 5. So now we plug into our calculator, 3.14 times 5 times 5 equals 78.5, and since it's area, we're going to use meters squared. .5 meters squared. Now, since on number 2 I'm given the diameter, what must I do to 7 before I find the radius? So I know the diameter is equal to 7. Well, the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So my radius is equal to 7 divided by 2, which is equal to 3.5. So now I have the radius I'm going to use. So if we're using our equation, area equals pi times r squared, well, we know we have area is equal to pi times 3.5 squared. And now we'll write out what that means. So we'll use 3.14 for pi. Pi is 3.14 times 3.5. Remember, it's a squared, so we're going to multiply it by 3.5 again, 3.5. When we multiply these three together, 3.14 times 3.5 times 3.5. We get 38.5. I'm rounding. And our units was feet, so we use feet squared. Now number 3 is just like number 2, so please try number 3. Remember, you're given a diameter. 8 is your diameter, so you're going to have to find the radius first. So use 8 as the diameter to find the radius, and then you can plug into your equation. So go ahead and pause, and you can take a shot at it, and then we'll look at it together. Okay, so we know the diameter is 8, and we know radius is equal to half of the diameter, so 8 divided by 2, so our radius is 4. So we're going to be using 4 as our radius when we plug into our equation. So we know that area is equal to 3.14 times 4 to the second power, or 4 squared, which is area is equal to 3.14 times 4 times 4. Remember, 4 squared is just 4 multiplied by itself. So I'll use my calculator and do 3.14 times 4 times 4 equals, area equals 50.24, and our units is feet, so we do feet squared. Now, if you would, please go ahead and turn to the back side of this page. I'm just flipping over to the back side so we can look at the area of semicircles. And the area of semicircles is very straightforward. To find the area of a semicircle, we'll find the area of a circle. So area of a semicircle will be equal to the area of a circle, which is our pi times r squared. But since it's just half the circle, what I'm going to do is at the end, I'll take this number and divide it by 2. So just like earlier, anytime we're using area, we have to find the radius first. And if I'm given the whole length across, I'm given the diameter. So I know the diameter is 10, but I know the radius is half of that. So my radius is 10 divided by 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I'm going to be using 5 as my radius when I plug into my equation. This 5 will get plugged in right there for r. So we know that area of a semicircle is equal to pi times 5 to the second power over 2. So I'll change the pi out for our 3.14. I'm going to write out the 5 squared, so we have area is equal to 3.14 times 5 times 5, and then I'll divide this by 2. We'll plug this into our calculator. 3.14 times 5 times 5, and then I'll divide that by 2, and we'll get it is equal to 39.25. Now number 2 is quite similar to number 1. We'll start off with a diameter. That's the distance all the way across the circle. So we know our diameter is equal to 11. Well, my radius is equal to half the diameter, so 11 divided by 2. So my radius will be equal to 5.5. And 5.5 is the number that we'll use to find the area of the semicircle. So I'm going to say that area is equal to pi times 5.5 squared, my times up, times, and then we'll divide this number by 2. So we're going to change pi into 3.14, then we'll write out the 5.5 squared. So I have area is equal to 3.14 times 5.5 times 5.5. Remember, squared means I'm going to multiply this number by itself. And after I do all that multiplication, the last thing I'll do is divide it by 2. So I go 3.14 times 5.5 times 5.5, and then I'll take that number and divide it by 2, and I get the area is equal to 47.5. Same with our units as in full circles, centimeters squared. Oh, I forgot my units for number 1. So if it's yards, it would be yards squared. So if you would, please go ahead and try number 3. Ooh, number 3 kind of starts off easier because I'm given the distance from the center out. So I already am given the radius. So I know my radius is 4. So we already have the number we're going to use because we have the radius. So my radius is 4, and then we just plug into our equation. So you go ahead and please try number 3, and then we'll look at it together. So we can take the area, and we know that it's pi times 4 squared. Now I'll change my pi into 3.14, so I have 3.14 times, and 4 squared is 4 times 4. Then I'm going to divide all this by 2, since it's a semicircle, and we'll get area is equal to 3.14 times 4 times 4. Then I take that number and I divide it by 2. And we get the area is equal to 25.12 using our units, inches. And then since it's area, we square the units. So that's it for this lesson. We found the area of both circles, full circles, and semicircles. One's the area of a circle divided by 2. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.